that time. Behind those buildings is, behind the buildings is Coronet Road, and at 83rd Street, when you face north, you're actually looking at a second row of buildings separated by an alleyway. So these buildings are on Coronet Road, which is just south of Argyle, and they're separated. Across the street, looking south, you have another industrial layout, and it has a face on the back to the CP rail tracks. Another aspect of Coronet Road, which a lot of people aren't aware of, is that there is a major substation on Argyle Road at 81st Street, and it's a high-power corridor for electricity. And if you look at the height of those poles, carrying their 220, you're going to have to build a pretty high overpass to get over that stuff, or you'll have to pay for burying all those cables. At the CP rail line, when you look north from that spot on Coronet Road, the overpass would be moving slightly to the right here, and it would land in W.P. Wagner's schoolyard or Wagner Road. So we're looking east along the CP rail tracks with its siding, which I'm sure not many people are aware of, but there are 2 tracks at that location, and an elevated LRT station is contemplated for this area. I thought I'd mock it up for you to give you a visualization. Behind Wagner School, there is a park, and it's named after W.P. Wagner. And impact on this park hasn't been stated by anyone proposing the LRT through that area. This is the sign. Wagner Road is where this ramp presumably will come down. That means that there's an elevated station which only the students could get to. The ramp will arrive on this road and then turn to go to 75th Street, and it will cross 75th Street to be on the east side, as the diagrams I've been looking at indicate. What I'd like to do is to look at an alternative, which was actually part of one of the original LRT proposal routes, and that was to come to 83rd Street at 82nd Avenue and then turn left. This was abandoned for reasons that haven't been explained to me adequately, so I'm going to show you 82nd Avenue at 83rd Street has a wide service road on either side. And it's the only part of 82nd Avenue that has those roads. If you look west from 75th Street, you'll see the service road on the left and a small business on the right. The houses are well back from the street at 75th Street. When you look south from that same intersection, on the right-hand side, you'll see further boulevards and a service road. And that boulevard is about 3 lanes wide. It has grassy areas that abut 75th Street, which I believe are perfectly suited for LRT. This would allow the LRT to arrive at Argyle Road at 75th Street, where it's likely to be cheaper to deal with crossing that road and the CP tracks. So I'm asking you to reconsider a turn at 82nd Avenue toward 75th Street. You won't have to buy any of the land on 83rd or any of the houses that are along that way. There'll be no disruption of the current 83rd Street transit load, and it would continue even after LRT, and you wouldn't have to buy an overpass or build an elevated station. I'll take questions.
Thank you. There's no questions, but administration, the suggestions that people are making, you're taking note of them, I hope. Correct? And so you can help respond to it, because this is expertise that you would have, and we could respond to those. Okay. We're going to break now for 15 minutes. Which will probably be 20 minutes. And before we go, our next speaker is Mr. Troutman, then Mr. Knack.
No, that was Mr.
I'm sorry, you were Mr. Troutman. I ticked you off. I'm sorry. Mr. Knack, Mr. Sanders.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Andrew Knack, Mr. Knack, followed by Beth Sanders, Brian Legow, Brian and Marjorie Staples, and David Kent. Thank you. Whenever you're ready to begin, Mr. Knack.
All right. Well, good afternoon to the councillors and Mayor Mandel, wherever you are. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me, as I know you have received many emails from me in the past few weeks. I want to be clear that I am here representing myself. I'm not representing the Metal Art Community League, which I've sent information on, or my condo board, although I may reference a few of those survey results. Now, I'm here today to tell you the obvious regarding West LRT. No matter which route is chosen, there will never be a majority of interested people in support of it. All you need to do is look at the responses that I sent you, and you'll understand how different people's opinions can be. There were people in Meadowlark who supported the proposed route along Stony Plain Road, 87th Avenue, 163rd, 107th, 170th, and 107th. Not one of those viewpoints received over 50% of support. Looking at the results from my condo, over 90% of the responses were actually in favor of the proposed route. But I'm pretty certain that there will be people here who tell you the exact opposite is true for their community or their building. So, since we can't reach a consensus, let's not build the West LRT line at all. We should only build it if a majority of people support a route. Now, I would imagine that most everyone here realizes that this is not a realistic point of view. The City of Edmonton needs to have an LRT line that travels to the west end of Edmonton to provide residents with an efficient transit option. So what do we do if we all can't agree? Well, we rely on our City Council to make this very challenging decision based off what you believe is the best for the City of Edmonton. This decision will be extremely difficult because, again, no matter what you decide, you will likely upset the majority of interested people by either selecting the proposed route or by sending it back to administration and proposing another route that the majority of interested West End residents will probably oppose. So what things do you need to consider before voting for or against this proposed route? For most of you, it should start when you voted in favor of the new evaluation criteria. This criteria was determined with public input and needs to be a key reference point when deciding what is the best LRT route. Do you believe in the criteria and how it may help shape our city in the future? Is there something that was not considered before that should have been when discussing the West LRT route? Personally, I believe all three routes that were considered are by far the best options available. In fact, if you choose not to build the proposed route, but select one of the other two options today, I will be almost as happy. I do not believe the other two routes would have the same positive impact on the city as the route along Stony Plain Road would, but at least they would provide West End residents with some benefits. I am supporting this proposed route because I want to see communities flourish and businesses succeed. I disagree with the notion that an LRT line will cause less people to come to Stony Plain Road. Over the past year that I've been involved with this discussion, I've spoken with many people who have never taken a walk, let alone shopped along Stony Plain Road. Continuing the status quo is not going to bring in new residents or customers. And assuming the city works together with communities and businesses, Stony Plain Road has the opportunity to become a landmark destination. It could be one of the few areas not located downtown where residents can live, work, and play. I recognize that placing an LRT route along Stony Plain Road is not the only step needed to revitalize this area, but with a bold vision, and more importantly, outstanding execution, it can be the anchor in redevelopment. If Council chooses any route today, I will be more than willing to organize and participate in community meetings with the city and help develop a plan that will make a successful LRT route. And to all the people in attendance, no matter if you support the proposed route, 87th Ave, 163rd, 107th, or any route, I hope that you can recognize that no individual's vision for this city is wrong. We may not agree in that vision, but know that we all want what is best for this city. More than half of you will probably not agree with whatever route is selected today, but we can all agree that the only way to move forward after this selection is made will be to get as many communities together to understand the needs of one another and create something that the majority can support. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Good timing. Councillor Purcell, you have your light on?
Thank you for your presentation. You mentioned the LRT, you mentioned the new criteria that council passed, and I guess one of the things I want to point out to you is I did not support the criteria.
Yes.
And part of that was because of the fact that land use urban form was the #1 criteria used in terms of the weighting. Now, I'm curious, in terms of the 87th Avenue route,